Love tits. I'm an old-fashioned guy. Still go down on the wife. I haven't put a pee-pee in my mouth yet. I'm the one living the alternative lifestyle.
Nick DiPaolo, everybody!
Nick DiPaolo!
Give it up for Nick DiPaolo!
Nick DiPaolo!
Wow. Holy shit.
Now, in every industry, there's often a person who people think is the man, right? The person who gets the accolades or the push. And then behind the scenes, there's the guy. In the world of stand-up comedy, for decades, that guy is Nick DiPaolo.
He's a billionaire. He's going to donate $1,000 to a children's cancer hospital every time one of the Mets hits a home run. Cheap prick. Got a kid from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Billy, what's your last wish? I don't know. Can we get a designated hitter in the National League?
What's my obsession with tits? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's because somebody stuck one in my mouth when I was 3 seconds old. And it fed me a delicious meal that kept me alive the next 24 hours. She'd be happier if I was obsessed with cock. Sorry, my dad didn't walk around pantless while I was teething. What's your obsession with dicks anyways? Oh, maybe it's because somebody stuck one in my mouth when I was 3 seconds old and it fed me a delicious meal that kept me alive the next 2 days. Maybe that's why. Are you homophobic?
Hillary's still out there saying, well, I lost because of sexism. There were little subtle hints that she wasn't very healthy, like a 9-inch stain in her pantsuit as she's going up the steps.
Now you know who you came to see. That's right, sir. Don't clap. You couldn't even think that joke up in a million years.
I had a great time. I can't thank you people enough for coming out. I f***ing love you. Thank you so much. Let's do it again. What do you say, huh? Wow.
All right, guys, this is it. 2020. Move fast and avoid getting those community guidelines strike.
I want regular content from all of you. It's an election year, so use those algorithms.
If you're not sure if your content's borderline, err on the side of caution. We don't need any more channels being banned. Keep your content clean, gentlemen. I'll see you on YouTube.
Okay, let me show you, boys.
Go, 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 go! Bring it down!
Captain, they've got us surrounded. I don't know how much more we can
Come
take.
on, don't think like that. I promise you, after this, I'll buy everyone here a round of beer. Okay, even Brendan.
Thank you, sir.
Was he gonna salute? He was gonna salute. That's not protocol. Corporal Black, tell me you have some good news for
Afraid
me.
not, Captain. There's hardly anybody left, and it gets worse.
How's gonna get any worse?
It's just box videos, doll unboxings, and makeup tutorials with training.
Corporal Black! Corporal Black! You Palo Alto bastard!
Sir, we need to surrender.
Oh, come on! We didn't come all this way just to give it up to some Silicon Valley sprite, right? What's your name, Private?
Given, sir.
He's not in our company, but he's still here. That's a good sign. It's an election year, damn it. We created Mug Club exactly for this instant, to guarantee a future-free internet for all content creators, free from the legacy media gatekeepers. That's why we're here. Don't forget that. I want you to look alive. Get out, move up, and use Maddie as cover. 3, 2.
Join Mug Club today and fight like hell at louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub. Use the promo code military for $10 off an annual membership all month long, and 10% of all the proceeds this month will be donated to military charities. All right. Bear with me today. I'm probably going to be jumping around quite a bit. I feel like people in this office, the studio, are trying to get my goat today. You can bring up the rundown. Good news is we have Paulo Figueiredo on the show and Eduardo Bolsonaro, of course, from Brazil, from what was happening yesterday. They're testifying before committee, and they've been on the show, so that's going to be fun. Stormy Daniels. Everything that the left has tried to make this case into being about is wrong. It's just not correct, okay? This is a woman with no credibility by design. You want to know that do you want to verify, to confirm that this is political persecution? All right, we'll walk you through it. It's a lady who basically said on the stand yesterday, I'm here for extortion, please. We're also going to be, this is something I think people here are trying to aggravate me because, you know, Putin won his record 5 billionth term, and he had a meeting with Steven Seagal. Now, I was instructed to not watch this clip because everyone knows of my deep revulsion of Steven Seagal.
He didn't meet with Putin, but he was there and commenting, and so, you know.
I haven't seen the clip, but I know that I'll be getting angry.
Yeah.
So if at any point today you're watching on YouTube and you see this, head on over to Rumble, because why are you watching on YouTube anyway? It's a live show, weekdays 10 a.m. Also, really quickly, Nick DiPaolo is going to be in New Jersey this Saturday, May 11th, the OG.
Yeah.
I'm also irritated because I know some other comics out there who fancy themselves free speech advocates and have tried to curb Nick behind the scenes a little bit. He'll never talk about it, and I won't name names, but I've seen the messages saying, you know, Nick, you shouldn't be saying this. This is why certain people won't hire you, because of his political views. So get out there, support him. One of the funniest shows you will ever see in your life, and we'll be talking about all that and more. Number 2, Captain Morgan, CEO. How are you?
I'm doing well, avoiding the office bug.
I know.
Whatever's going around.
I have bubble guts this morning.
I probably started it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't get sick, though, so I'm fine.
Well, you didn't have to sneeze on everyone's desk.
No, I just don't like washing my hands. That's it. It's a personal choice, Stephen.
Also, when you hear this, you know him, you love him. Another wonderful comic. You can watch his special American on Mug Club.
Yeah.
Mr. Josh Firestein, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Had a great night.
Yeah?
Made love in a pool.
Good for you.
So, yeah.
You can still get pregnant. That's a myth.
Well, we'll see.
Hot tub's not a pool, Josh.
Yeah, well...
It wasn't a hot tub. This is a full-size pool, my friend.
Hey, I don't know what we're talking about. Crazy sexual perversion?
Cold water love. It's hard to do.
Well,
but
if I do it, it's more like Lake Placid.
Oh.
Placid.
It's a horror movie.
So...
Lake Flaccid?
Yeah. Did my F sound like a P?
A little bit.
I just want to say, I don't care anymore. Let me ask you this. Do you care anymore? Yesterday, they brought Stormy Daniels onto the stand to try and embarrass Donald Trump through, these lurid details. I don't care anymore.
No.
I don't care what people prefer sexually in a consensual relationship. It doesn't matter to me. You can comment below. Is anyone else affected by this? By the way, the idea that she suggested he be spanked by a rolled-up magazine, he said, okay, all right, do it. That couldn't be more innocent and playful. There's not a sex hammock and a syringe in a closet. Who gives a rat's ass? And are you more convinced than ever that they didn't actually even sleep together? I used to think maybe Donald Trump did. We know he's been a philanderer in the past. But looking at the details now, it's 60-40. I think he didn't even sleep with Stormy Daniels. I think this is a shakedown artist. I think she's a professional liar, and even the media is having a tough time carrying her water. So I don't care. Don't care. Don't care how weird your sex stuff. It's none of my business.
Yeah. But I think he's fine. I think it made him just, again, you're like, oh, yeah, you're claiming that I slept with a Playboy model. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I'll have to, I guess, take that dart.
Well, she is gross.
She is gross, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The headline doesn't read well.
Really quickly, another headline. The Boy Scouts for America, after much deliberation and membership shortfalls, have changed the organization's name to Scouting of America in what is officially being declared the happiest day of our lives, according to pedophiles. Let's go on.
Good for them. Good for them.
The new slogan is, shh, don't tell.
Don't tell
Are
bags.
they scouting recruits?
Yeah, exactly. You know what? And watch. 5 years, six, 7, I don't know. Could be 2 months from now. People will say, remember when everyone said the slippery slope was a fallacy? This is how it starts.
Yeah.
They can't have a space that's safe for boys. We have to open it up and be inclusive. Well, it's kind of antithetical to the entire point of Boy Scouts of America. I was kicked out because all I wanted was a Swiss Army knife, and I immediately threw it at one of my colleagues.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I wonder why they were having shortfalls in membership. Probably because a lot of the boys are becoming Girl Scouts.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on.
Also, they do have, they sell the cookies. It's,
Oh, yeah.
The cookies, they're actually
Boy
pretty
Scouts
good.
are selling like crafts and pine cones, and no one cares.
Get out of here with your handkerchief.
Yeah, it's just, it doesn't work. All right.
I don't know why you go to Boy Scouts, though. If you want to get touched, just go to church.
Hey, by the hand of the Lord.
And also Pastor Tom.
No. No.
It's so stupid. You put gay people with young kids, and it's like, oh, you're saying gay people can't control themselves? No, I'm saying men can't control themselves. They just happen to be gay. This is what we're sexually predatory. Do you not understand science?
Well, I don't think that's why they changed the name, but the point is well made. And of course, the pedophile thing was a joke. There is no official declaration from pedophiles, but I imagine it's what they say. I'm not sure.
Okay.
You heard it here. Gerald's a predator.
Yes.
It's science.
Get it on the soundboard.
Sexual predator.
Right, right.
Guys, we have international guests on later on the show. Let's right this ship.
Sorry.
Doesn't speak for everybody, Gerald.
I want
Just kidding.
to play this really quickly. I get that Cuomo, one of the brothers Cuomo, is now independent online and presents himself as a truth teller, someone who's seen the light. And here's my issue with it. There hasn't been an apology tour. Mm-hmm. Now, people use the term grifter so often that it's lost all meaning. I'm not saying that he is, but what I do, here are kind of the standards as far as seeing if someone is genuine. Why the transition? Where's the flash of genius moment? The road to Damascus moment? And how do they correct it moving forward? Do they take any accountability or responsibility? And honestly, are they in a position where they would have to now take these new political positions because there are no options left? If all of those kind of come to a point, you say, there's an intersect here. I just realized I didn't brush my beard.
Oh, no.
I was like, what's this? Is there a hobo on my face? It's me.
Yeah, it looks terrible. I didn't want to say anything, but
it feels terrible.
No, I don't think anybody.
Show over?
I don't think anybody.
Oh, that would be nice. Oh, I forgot. We do it live. We don't pre-tape 12 episodes in a week and run it for a year.
Nobody noticed.
So
you look great.
Here is Chris Cuomo on Patrick Bet-David's show, who does a very good job hosting, talking now about taking ivermectin. Here's the issue. I've always said you're not just judged by the information that you presented. History will judge you by the information that was available at that time. So if someone says, you know what, I've had a conversion, or you know what, I've seen the light, okay. Do you acknowledge that this information was available at that time regarding ivermectin, regarding COVID, regarding lockdowns, And then you have to answer for why did you not present it? That's my issue. Let's roll this clip and we'll just go through it point by point.
I'll tell you something else that's going to get you a lot of hits. I am taking what do they call it? Like a regular dose, whatever. They're trying to build up of ivermectin. Ivermectin was a boogeyman early on in COVID.
You couldn't talk about it.
That was wrong. We were given bad information about ivermectin. The real question is why? Everyone's going to say Joe Rogan was right. No, Joe Rogan was saying, yeah, he was right. But that's not what matters. What matters is
that does matter.
Yeah.
That does matter.
Big time.
Asshole. And the reason that it matters is because you guys literally changed the color tone of the Joe Rogan video and ran headlines saying that he was taking horse dewormer when it has been prescribed. I don't know if it's overall to hundreds of millions of people. I don't have the number in front of me. No, it does matter. It does matter because you guys talk about this disparity of power all the time. CNN, mainstream networks, and of course everyone else jumped on it, New York Post, Washington Post. Joe Rogan was right, and it wasn't just Joe Rogan who was right. The doctors on his show were right. You tried to destroy his credibility proactively while the information confirming that he was correct, which you'll go on to admit in a moment, was available to you. Yeah. It doesn't really matter. It matters.
It took 5 minutes to find this out. 5 minutes of research would have found this out. And by the way, not only Joe Rogan and the doctors that were on his show were right. The doctors that were not on his show, that were across America saying, what is going on with this, were right. Because he's going to go on to say that he's talked to doctors now and he understands now.
Doctors on this show.
Yeah.
Doctors on this show.
Were right. We were right.
We were suspended, by the way. We were suspended on YouTube. We were suspended on YouTube for the discussion of ivermectin with active doctors.
Yes.
And CNN was involved in the calling for banning of misinformation.
Yeah.
There needs to be some kind of restitution. That's the issue.
He can't say why. He cannot say, why was this given to us? He was part of the problem. He is part of the why. Because he's like, oh, it was a boogeyman. We were given bad information. False. You weren't given bad information. You chose to only listen to people who were the science. Second, why was it given to you? Why was that hidden from you? It wasn't.
It was not.
You were part of the people hiding it from the American people, Chris.
It sounds a lot like, I was just doing my job. No, I'm doing mine. If this were an action film. Right. Let's continue with the clip.
The entire clinical community knew that ivermectin couldn't hurt you. They knew it, Patrick. I know they knew it. How do I know? Because now I'm doing nothing but talking to these clinicians.
Pause. What were you doing? What were you doing then as a journalist? So if you're a journalist now, you weren't then.
Yeah.
That's and I'm sure he's not a bad guy, by the way. The accusations of the sexual harassment, they seem like they're trumped up. I'm never going to attack a guy because of some bogus claims made by leftists who don't like him. Okay. Are you a journalist now or were you a journalist then? You need to clarify. You don't get to gain credibility if you fail to acknowledge that you blew your credibility then on purpose. He just said, all of these clinicians. I know that now because I'm talking to them. You had a show on primetime on CNN.
Yeah.
You didn't talk to them then. And by the way, you did segment after segment after segment about having misinformation removed from social media while we and Joe Rogan were talking to clinicians. Next, let's keep rolling this.
Were overwhelmed by COVID and they weren't saying anything. Not that they were hiding anything, but it's cheap. It's not owned by anybody, and it's used as an antimicrobial, antiviral, and all of these different ways.
Sorry. I thought that sounded like everyone in this room live on air in 2020. Continue.
Long time.
For malaria for over almost 20 years.
Yeah. So, and my doctor, who is now my doctor, was using it during COVID on her family and on patients, and it was working for them. So they were wrong to play scared on that. Didn't know that at the time. Know it now.
Pause.
Admit it.
Yes, they did. Hey, you know who else said that? My doctor. Guess where he said it? Here on this show. On shows that were suspended. This isn't about Monday morning quarterbacking. It's not about a victory lap. Actual damage was done.
Yes.
If it was about saving lives, and you're now saying, we now know that this works, we now know that it's effective, and at that moment in time, you believed that 100 billion people were going to die. Of course, don't fact check me. That's hyperbole. Why didn't you interview one? Why didn't you provide equal time to said clinicians? We did. You can't move on and say, I know it now, without any kind of culpability. Let's continue.
Now, reporting on it now, because I think that's the job. The idea that, well, you were a vaccine proponent. Why wouldn't I have been a vaccine
Nobody's
proponent?
worried about that at this particular moment.
Now, there are questions. Oh, no, but I knew at the time. No, you didn't. What you knew was that there were people telling you to be resistant to what the government was telling you to do.
No, this is the issue, right? They were wrong. It was scary. They means you. They means you when you're talking about the legacy media being wrong. No, you didn't. Let me tell you what you know. Okay, good. Tell us what we know so that you can still have a career online. Oh, what we know is we were just telling people to mistrust the government. Or what we knew then, again, were the clinicians you ignored, the doctors you ignored.
Yeah.
One of the creators of the mRNA vaccine injection himself, who you ignored. All you knew was you didn't trust. Oh, that made it a lot easier for you to accuse people of being conspiracy theorists for saying that, hey, ivermectin is a no-cost, low-risk potential prophylactic or potential antiviral that could help speed up or lower the risk of hospitalization. You're saying now it's okay. No, that's not what we know now. It was known then. It was silenced then. It's not that it wasn't known. It was actively suppressed.
Yeah.
Just like Fauci actively suppressed the idea that you couldn't catch AIDS from your parents on a cereal box. You can read it back then. He knew he was spending time in gay bathhouses, but he told the public, hey, 1 in 5 heterosexual couples in the United States will be affected by AIDS. The information was available to Fauci back then. People died because of political correctness. The information was available to Chris Cuomo, to Don Lemon, to Brian Stelter, to the entire legacy media. This information not only was available to everyone then, they actively suppressed it at the cost of human life.
Yeah.
He said resistive too, and it wasn't resistive to the government. It was skeptical of the government, and all that crap made people resistive.
Yeah.
And what do you expect?
Yeah.
Definitely resistant. So Chris has a choice to make. He is either an idiot or an accomplice. He has to choose one of those two things. He's an idiot and doesn't know how to do his job, so he didn't know about it, or he did know about it and he was an accomplice. And he's an accomplice because he hated Donald Trump so much that he had to do something to make him look bad. Let's not act like this is just on Joe Rogan.
Right.
This was all targeted at Donald Trump with a roaring economy, thinking this is our ticket to get him out of office. If he mishandled this in any way possible, we are going to make hay out of it and he's going to be gone. That's what was happening. They put your life on the line to make sure that Donald Trump couldn't win an election. Mm-hmm. That was it. So, Chris, pick a lane. Idiot or accomplice, let us know.
By the way, it's the same exact network that covered the Vox Adpocalypse. Hey, the only reason that we survived here after being demonetized was because there are more of you than them. And them, I mean CNN, viewers. And I know you don't have a tough act to follow as far as comparing yourself to that. The only reason that Joe Rogan's entire career wasn't destroyed is because at that point he had more power than them, meaning you. And I know that this will result in some kind of drama where he'll be like, I want to have you on the show. Look, I don't think that Chris Cuomo is a bad guy. If he wants to come on this program, fine. I don't think he's a bad guy. If he is willing to admit, all right, okay, the information was available, and either he was a lazy journalist or took part actively in the suppression of that information, fine. But you've got to start these conversations on good faith and saying, we didn't know. I know now. No, we did. History will judge you based on the information that was available, but you actively ignored or suppressed. And CNN and Chris Cuomo's show and Don Lemon, they were the worst offenders.
Yeah.
They were the worst offenders. People can change. I believe it. People can change. But you have to choose to change. And we, many times, have almost lost everything here. We're supported by viewers like you. We're not supported by being on airport televisions through mandate. None of it happens without you. Please do consider joining Mug Club. It's Military Appreciation Month. So you enter in the promo code military, you get $10 off and 10% of the proceeds go to military charities, as well as a full additional hour of show each day. Nick DiPaolo's show. You have a whole lineup of people, the investigative journalism unit. None of it happens without you, and we are gearing up for a big election.
Join now or you're gay in the military. We allow that now, right?
Yeah, don't ask, don't tell.
There's a lot of don't telling.
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot of don't. I've seen
some don't ask
the village people.
So.
I don't know a whole lot about the Navy, but I can guess. So it's time to move on really quickly. Yesterday, Vladimir Putin won every election ever. Let's go to Russian lesson. All right. Vladimir Putin.
Tim loves that. That's like probably his favorite singer.
It's pretty funny.
I don't like that one.
There was the inauguration yesterday for an unprecedented, some could say. Oh, no, wait. It is 5th term. He won the election with 87% of the vote. And apparently...
Why do you even do it? Why? You spend money on voting. Why even do it?
Well, there was a little bit of a gap where he had 85% approval rating in the public. Now, let me tell you, do a lot of people say, I approve because they're afraid of, having their throat slit or being sent to the gulags? Sure, probably. Do I think that a surprising number of the surprising percentage of the Russian people probably do support Putin? I think it might surprise you. And a big reason for that is kind of to compare it to World War II. This was post-World War I. You had the Treaty of Versailles. The Germans felt browbeaten, right? They felt like, hey, we can't be the world's whipping post forever. Russians felt that way, and I think they probably know who Putin is, right? It's the devil you know. Yeah. But they'd rather have what they view as a strong man in charge. So this is all a sham, of course. And a lot of Russians would say, look at your own election system. To them, I would say, touché.
Fair point.
And this is a clip that I have not seen.
Oh, yeah. You're going to love it.
I guess in attendance for Putin's inauguration, Putin the fraud was another fraud, Steven Seagal.
The symbolism here is key. Held inside the throne room of the Tsars, this was a projection of power. Among the audience were pop stars, sports stars, and religious leaders.
That was resting
Even
dictator
a
face.
former Hollywood action hero.
Why do you support Vladimir Putin, Mr. Seagal?
I can't answer questions that stupid. Yeah, sorry.
Why is it a stupid question? It's just an open question.
I think it's pretty stupid, and I think you know the answer.
Can it be found underneath that putting green on your forehead? I don't answer questions that stupid because I'm a fighter. Really? How many professional fights have you been in? That's a stupid question.
Why is that?
I think you know the answer to that.
Is the answer 0?
Why are you being so dumb?
Are you black?
I was for a period of time when I had to market myself that way, but then I was also Italian, and I was also Native American.
Japanese,
of course. I'm also Jewish, and I killed someone's puppy when I faked being a policeman and ran a tank through their north wall. That actually happened. You can find the
I wish
articles.
you would ask me a better question, like about my goatee.
Yeah.
Why is he there?
Yeah.
I guarantee you he would answer, never heard of him if you asked him about hair plugs.
Chia Pets got their hair from him.
Yes. It's just, and here's the thing. We bought this as a kid.
Yes.
Let me ask you this.
I did too.
Question to you. Did you believe in Steven Seagal at one point? Like, that he was an actual, fighter, like a tough guy?
It was Jean-Claude Van Damme or him. Like, the argument was who would win in a fight.
Yeah.
And it's like, Steven Seagal for sure. I mean, Jean-Claude's pretty cool and all, and he can do splits, but Steven Seagal slaps himself like no other.
Yeah. How about a brisk jog? Well, no, he's not Superman.
So much. He changed the rules of the game.
He can look.
He grew into his face too, by the way. I don't know if you remember those old movies, but he had a giant face. Look at that thing, dude. He really grew into it. Look, I gotta say, he's in his prime form right now. That's where he's supposed to be. This was God's plan. He was meant to look like a fat, stupid idiot.
You say hair plugs. I say God bless me like Benjamin Button. I had less hair when I was young, more hair when I'm older. I don't know the science. But that's the way it works out.
So there's hope for me?
The hair gives me balance when I use my katana.
That's right.
I cut it off on accident.
Look, when people ask me stupid questions, bad things happen.
Like what? You make another straight-to-DVD release exclusively for Russia that's dubbed because you're too lazy to show up to the audio recording booth?
That's correct.
Yes. Nailed it.
Steven Seagal. Remember he was on Piers Morgan's show? Does anyone ever try and test you at a bar?
Sometime.
And how does that go down?
Bad things happen.
What? Like you crap yourself?
I leave alone.
Yes.
Yeah. He's ordering one of those sexually charged drinks.
Yeah.
No, hold the sex on the beach. I'll have the stroke my nipples by myself in the bar. Make it a double.
Steven Seagal attending
in the shower.
attending anything. Look, it's a sham. It's just charlatanry, if that's a word, just as much as the guy in India who was trying to sell you on the idea of drinking cow piss. So it turns out there's more validity to that, and it's picked up steam.
Drink cow piss before a job interview.
All right, let's send in the next audition. Who the fuck was that guy?
Get pissed before playing sports. Get pissed. Cow piss helps you think straight.
You in check.
Get pissed.
Hey man, what's going on?
Well, I just really want to wear a camel costume for hump day.
Oh, well here, take a sip of this piss.
Yeah?
Yeah.
This piss really humps.
Get pissed.
Piss is good for all the peoples. Drink it and you will get pissed.
Look, I'm going to acknowledge that unless you have watched the show for the last several weeks, that is probably horrifying.
Or tempting.
Yeah. And if you have watched the show, it is still horrifying, but at least it's understandable. Understandable also is something that we should all know. You know, going out supporting live comedy is a big deal right now, especially in the era of cancel culture. Nick DiPaolo is probably the most canceled comedian of all time. Yes. Saturday, May 11th, he's going to be in Red Bank, New Jersey. You can see all of his tour dates at nickdip.com. I've never laughed harder than seeing Nick DiPaolo perform. So he's that guy, and he's the guy who looms in the shadows who everyone else fears. You don't want to follow him. He's that funny.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on here too, and we have Figueiredo and Bolsonaro appearing here in a little bit. They're going to be calling in. Stormy Daniels. You know what? Before we get to Stormy Daniels, this is just really in the last 48 hours. All of the cases against Donald Trump are falling apart. So you've got the classified documents case that's been suspended indefinitely for really potential evidence tampering. That's the primary reason. The January 6th case is not going to happen before the election. And actually, I guess this is just breaking this morning. We were trying to confirm it, that the court granted the appeal of Fannie's disqualification ruling.
So that's going to take a little while. So that's Georgia gone.
January that's Georgia. 6th, that's gone. Right. New York, January 6th gone. Classified documents pretty much gone or suspended indefinitely. Georgia gone. And Stormy Daniels, who will take the stand again today.
Or tomorrow. I don't know if they're taking a day off.
Oh, that's right. They may be taking a day off. She's the only person to take the stand on her back. Basically admitted to extortion yesterday. Okay? That's really what happened. There are some details that you probably think you know. This is not about Donald Trump sleeping with an ex-pornography star. This is an accounting issue, all right? But let's just set this up. And you can comment right now if you knew that. Of course, the media wants you to think it's about the sex details in this case. They just want to embarrass the guy. I don't think anybody cares. But she testified yesterday, this hush money case. And apparently, Trump got a little heated, but more importantly, do you want to know that this is political persecution? I don't know if you look up the history of law. Not one person has ever been held in contempt or gone to prison for shaking their head.
I want to read this part. Do I have this? Do I have it?
Do you?
Here it is. Sorry. This is the sidebar between Mershon and Todd Blanche at some point that happens.
This is funny. You're going to love this.
You guys don't hear this, right?
Right.
Okay, so we're getting this later. I understand your client is upset at this point, Judge Mershon, but he is cursing. But he is cursing audibly, and he is shaking his head visually, and that's contemptuous. It is the potential to intimidate the witness, and the jury can see that. Mr. Blanche, I will talk to him.
The court is Judge Merchant.
So I'm speaking to you here at the bench because I don't want to embarrass him. Mr. Blanche, I will talk to him. The court, you need to speak to him. I won't tolerate that. Mr. Blanche, I will talk to him.
Think about this. This is intolerable. Now, you shouldn't be doing this all the time. That means you probably have Parkinson's. Get it checked. But this when a lying whore, by her own admission, takes the stand to do lying whore things, not all women are lying whores, to be clear. This is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that Stormy Daniels is a lying whore.
Yes.
Why am I saying she's a liar? Because she admitted to being a liar. Why am I saying she's a whore? Because she was paid to have sex for money. I get the technicality that there was a camera present, so she's technically not a whore, but I'm more traditional. So, I think this, maybe even a little mutter of, it's bullshit. It's fine. I certainly don't think it's a crime, but let's go through some of the facts here why President Trump may have been nodding or shaking his head. All right, key facts one. There was absolutely no reason for Stormy Daniels to testify yesterday.
This is an entirely unnecessary witness. It is uncontested that there's an NDA. Whether what happened in their relationship, if there was one, is immaterial to how those payments were denoted by the Trump campaign.
Okay, this is an accounting issue about money paid to Stormy Daniels as to whether it's a legal expense instead of a campaign expense. To be clear, when I say she never needed to take the stand, there's no reason for her to, and whatever details she makes up about their sexual encounter are completely irrelevant to this case. The media may not act as though that is the truth, but it is. Why? Stormy Daniels already admitted that the affair never happened multiple times. She was previously ordered to pay Trump's legal fees because she lost. She sued him for defamation. Basically, it was a money shakedown scheme. Yeah. And she said that she would rather go to jail than pay those fines, that she would defy the court orders. This is someone who said the affair didn't happen. This is someone who lost in court in a way that is incredibly consequential. And she said, I'm not going to obey the court. And then yesterday in court effectively admitted that this is actively extortion. Here's what she even said. She said, I'm not denying this affair because I was paid hush money. She said, I'm denying this affair because it never happened. And she lists, which dates does she list in that?
So pull it back up and I'll read them for you. So 2006.
I think it's
2011. So in the future, she also didn't sleep with Trump. 2016, 2017, and now again in 2018. So she denied the affair at least 5 times. Once in the future, she had a DeLorean. And then she comes back and denies it again and again and again and again. And then says, by the way, pull that back up. This is the one thing that she does this letter. And then at the end, she says, I will have no further comment on this matter, but please feel free to check out my Instagram.
Yeah. She denied it more than John.
She put that in there because she's like, this is the grift she's on. She's writing books about this. She's trying to cash checks on this. She's checking my Instagram out with this statement that she was releasing. She's just self-promoting. That's all this is. This is Stormy Daniels doing what she has always done.
The rooster crow wasn't John.
Was it? Who was it?
The rooster. What? He just said he denied it more than John. I think he means.
Oh.
He means Peter.
Is it Peter who denied Jesus Christ 3 times? Sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
How dare you?
Let's just move on.
I right past it.
Let's not conflate porn stars with our Lord. I know that's not what you're doing. I was because someone's going to be like, that's not John. Look, it was a joke. It was Peter. It was a joke.
I got it wrong.
Let's get back to the lying whore. Okay. Here's the other fact. The media wants you to focus on something that does not matter. It could not matter less. I'm just going to present you with my opinion here. She wants to get on the stand and embarrass him. That was a plan all along, right? To try and reveal some private details regarding a sexual encounter with Donald Trump that very likely never happened. I'm honestly right. I don't believe that it happened. I know that Donald Trump has had affairs in the past. I get that. It's not lost on me. I think that maybe there was some flirting, but I'm 60-40. He never slept with Stormy Daniels at this point. My mind has changed on that. You comment below if you're in that same camp, just because the motivations are so dark and dishonest from Daniels by her own admission. So when she tried to reveal some sexual here's the thing too, it's not even bad. It's really like let me the one that the media has picked up on. Okay, she said that she spanked Trump with a magazine that in which he was like the person on the cover. Here, Daniels. Here's a quote from the transcript. Daniels said, "Someone should spank you with that." Daniels then said Trump rolled up the magazine and handed it to her, daring her to spank him. So I took it from him and said, "Turn around," and swatted him.
That's actually kind of funny. I mean, that's kind of a power move. He's like, hey, pick up the Time magazine with my face on it. It's like, come on.
Really? That's like, so hold on a second. The scandal here is you spanked him with the magazine playfully after you suggested it? That's not even weird or perverted.
Right.
That's like along the lines of a sexual fetish of sexy flight attendant outfit. Everyone likes the sexy flight attendant outfit.
Look, if he crapped on the floor and you put his face in it and swatted him so he didn't do it again,
that'd be different.
That would be a little bit different, but I don't think that's
a
what
weird
they were
kink.
saying.
Yeah, that would be weird. She's just like, so this magazine, someone should spank you. And basically all Donald Trump said was, all Donald Trump said was, yeah, all right.
He's the one with my face, though.
I don't care anymore. It's not like it involved midgets and a needle and a parrot and a hat. Like, who cares? Are you at this? And by the way, it's none of our business. Anyone out there? This is the problem with today's. Anyone out there want all of your private sexual details between you
please.
and your consenting spouse or long-term relationship, wife, husband, to be available to the public? Everyone has different sexual preferences, flavors. Guess what? That's why there are different kinds of couples. It could not be less relevant. I don't care anymore. I don't give a rat's ass. That's where I am at this point. Is it me?
No, it's not you. By the way, the funniest detail of this that makes me not believe that he slept with is the condom.
Yeah, she said then he slept, then he forgive me, again, this is not for children watching the show. Hopefully you know, if we're mentioning Stormy Daniels, you see it in the title. Yeah, she said he didn't use a condom. This is the guy who couldn't shake people's hands for decades because he was such a germaphobe. You think he's going to enter into that chasm of virality?
Be like, ew, gross.
He wouldn't eat bread at functions.
No.
Because he would have to. He was a Howie Mandel.
Yeah.
We're supposed to believe that he just threw it out the window. Why? Because he, like, you're some siren where he couldn't help himself from your draw, your magnetic luring of him from the shorelines of whoredom.
Don't worry, I'm still a virgin.
Yes.
Yeah, he's probably not sending that snake to that swamp. I don't think.
No.
Without a condom. No,
He's double bagging it, my friend, if that happens. So
I don't buy it. I don't. So a germaphobe, let me get this straight. A germaphobe had unprotected sex with you. Okay. Even though you've already denied it multiple times, after you suggested he be spanked by a magazine and he permitted it.
He dared her, technically, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
Double dog dare you.
I don't care. Like, hit the like button if you don't care, because guess what? You have to send the message that you don't care. So the media stops pulling this shit and wasting your time. Rape, bad, different. Sex crimes, very different. That's why we need to close the border. Record number of sex slaves being brought up, but we don't talk about that. We talk about whether Donald Trump was playfully spanked by a rolled up magazine. That's how you know this is a sham trial. Here's another key fact, and all references are available at louderwithcrowder.com. Notice they're not really talking about it on CNN. It was all day yesterday and the day before leading up to it. Even they know, this is not good. When even Judge Merchant said, yeah, this witness was a little bit tough to control. That's legalese for crazy bitch. So here's what she repeatedly stated, right, that money was not a motivator in telling her story. But she then went back and forth. Well, first off, she took a huge pile of money because like, money was not my main motivation. But didn't you take all this money? Well, I did, but not now. So you took the money, but now you want to tell your story that you said never happened, right? She kept going back and forth between Trump's then attorney, Michael Cohen, and the National Enquirer, like it was this auction. That's what was going on. Like, I got dumb whore here, I got a dumb whore here, got a dumb whore here, 165,000. Dumb whore here, got a dumb whore there. Michael Cohen for dumb whore here, National Enquirer for dumb whore there, National Enquirer. Do I hear? She's just like, me, mutual, I'm sure. So this is one of the exchanges between President Trump's lawyer. And by the way, not all, hopefully you know, women, this is not referring to all women as whores, just women who quite literally have sex for money. And that's not even the most aggravating part. A woman can have sex for money and do it honestly. Stormy Daniels is not amongst them. She gives, and I mean this genuinely, she gives a bad name to professional whores.
One bad apple.
I know. Well,
it's like going
more like a squash.
It's like going, professional whores. It's like going to Taco Bell at 2 a.m. You know what you're getting. Mm-hmm. Professional hookers and porn act, they know what they are, and there's an unwritten agreement. If something takes place, that the payment means, like this is not something that everyone needs to know about, right? That's why it's, in this case, she's going to set professional whores back like pre-Old West days, because guys are going to be afraid of the transaction turning up on social media. So thanks, Stormy. You've ruined hookering for the rest of us.
The oldest profession gone.
So here's an exchange between the Trump lawyer and Daniels from yesterday. The lawyer said, and I believe her name is, yeah, that's right. Well, Susan, I'm not going to pronounce the last name, said, "You were looking to extort money from President Trump, right?" And Daniels said, "False." And the lawyer said, "Well, that's what you did." Daniels responded, "False," again. Then she said, "I was terrified, so I decided to change my tactic." So hold on a second. Hold on a second. You took money. You took a whole bunch of money, and then you were scared, so you changed it to telling your story? Threatening to tell your story unless you get more money? Oh, extortion. But Donald Trump shook his head. You know, it's the same thing they talk about the classified documents case being postponed indefinitely. Like, you know, it would be one thing if we had something to compare it to. Like, you could only say, for example, it's not lost. I mean, you could only say that this is clearly political persecution if this happened to be the only case where someone was treated this way in dealing with classified documents. You know, I don't know. It'd be nice if we had something that would be comparable in apples to apples, like, say, classified documents being in a garage.
Well, they were in a box.
Yeah, they were in a box.
New York Corvette. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I mean, it's a pretty cool way to do it.
Pretty cool dude. Even Avenatti, who was Stormy Daniels' lawyer, dropped her as a client, and then he actually put out on X that the reason he dropped her was because he found out through text that she was extorting Trump. That's what this always was.
But when?
He said, "Daniels admitted to me in early 2019 that she and Davidson had extorted Trump in October 2016. It was a shakedown. This is one of the many reasons I fired her as a client in February 2019. I'm not saying Avenatti is trustworthy.
No, he's not.
But you can look at that moment and you can look and see there was a change of counsel, and she was bouncing around. And it stands to reason in this case. It would stand to reason that a guy like Avenatti saying, "I can't represent you anymore," that means you're pretty bad.
The guy that went to prison?
Yes, this guy did time for stuff that he's done as a lawyer.
Yeah.
But October of 2016, interesting. You mean right before? So it's not about the money? It's really not about the money? If it's right before the election where Donald Trump beats Hillary Clinton, it's not about the money? You weren't trying to be the October surprise and maybe get your career going again?
I mean, I'm a dick, but I'm not a monster.
Yeah, come on.
And President Trump's lawyers, they really did just destroy Daniels' credibility, right? She admitted under oath that she hates Trump, that she would never pay the money she owes Trump by law, and that she wanted to see him in jail. Even CNN, they were pre-gaming for this trial for days, right? They're like, we're going to get to hear about Donald Trump's weird sex stuff. Stormy Daniels, not the hero we need, but the whore we deserve. They had, quick, flash the snatch symbol. They admitted, all right, this is pretty bad.
But the cross-exam, boy, her responses were disastrous. I mean, do you hate Donald Trump? Yes, of course she does. That's a big deal. When the witness hates the person whose liberty is at stake, that's a big damn deal. And she's putting out tweets, fantasizing about him being in jail. That really undermines the credibility. The fact that she owes him $500,000, she, by order of a court, owes Donald Trump $500,000 and said, "I will never pay him. I will defy a court order." The defense is going to say she's willing to defy a court order. Why? She's not willing to respect an order of a judge. Why is she going to respect this oath she took?
Yeah, I want to see what that entire panel was saying 2 days ago.
Exactly.
You can guess.
I want to see what they were saying right then. You notice one thing there? Not one of them was shaking their head like, yeah, that's a good point. Every time they're saying something negative about Donald Trump, they're like, yeah, right. We all agree. He's a bad guy.
Careful with head shaking. You can be held in contempt and sent
true.
to jail.
I swear to my breath as well.
And she's just also, she's a bragging lying whore. She was bragging about all of her accolades when she was there. It was one big PR stunt, right? All of her accolades, awards. She claimed she had taken home 2 Oscars, 4 Tonys, and 1 Latin Grammy, which, if you're listening on audio, makes no sense. And something else I would like.
Can we show that again? I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
That's Oscar the Grouch.
There's Tony the Tiger. There's
Oscar.
Tony
Oscar from The Office. Yeah.
I hate us right now.
I'm not proud of it.
No, I think that's prime television.
Here's something I also want you guys to pay. Have you noticed this? Cancel culture isn't as big of a thing anymore. Here's why. And I didn't like the term cancel culture. I don't like gimmickry in general. whether it's like TradCon, like, what do you mean you're a stay-at-home wife and mom? Why do you have to put on a Betty Bombshell dress? It's just, let's do away with gimmicks. Cancel culture was just sort of a catchphrase, but you're not seeing it as much. What you're not seeing is people being quote unquote canceled for saying things that are politically incorrect as much because people are tired of that. They've sort of caught on and said, yeah, all right, we get it now. And everyone realizes we could all be technically canceled if we're held to this standard. So what do you see? It's a new, I would say, more subversive kind of cancel culture. It's a character assassination through the court of public opinion. That's what's really, really been revved up. It's not Donald Trump said something, right? It used to be, he said, grab him by the pussy, right? He said that these people are animals, talking about MS-13 members. He said that it hasn't worked. So now they're just going to make up things that he did, even if he didn't do them. And that's what they did, for example. You see it with Trevor Bauer. You see it. They will do it with you. You just see this happening on a national stage. They will do it to the people who they deem to be politically unacceptable. And they'll use it to protect their own. Classified documents, standard for Trump, standard for Biden. Rule of law, burden of proof, standard for Trump, standard for Stormy Daniels. It's, well, at this point, we can't just cancel him for saying things because no one really buys it anymore. Let's just say that he had unprotected sex with a porn star who denied it 6 times and has no credibility whatsoever and has said that she flagrantly disregards the rule of law and wants to see him in jail and take away his liberty and affect the election. That's where it's changing. So the way that you can deal with it is just don't give it more time. Yeah, if you want to learn about the case, okay, fine. You see, if you see a tabloid saying Donald Trump, like, I don't know, likes a feather in his ear, just don't. Who cares? Who cares? Do you have any idea? Have you guys? Someone bring this up. Mission Control. Okay, we'll have this in Mug Club. Do you know the story? I believe it was. I want to say it might have been Nixon. Maybe it was Johnson. It was someone who was congratulating the Gipper, Ronald Reagan, most wholesome president ever, on the night of winning the presidency, right? The night of the election. And the story is they went into the hotel. This was in someone's autobiography. Went into the hotel room where Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan were celebrating. And they opened the door and it was a waft of the aroma of sex. And I don't say this to be profane. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Like Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan had been screwing because he just won the presidency and everyone went, whoa, blow your hat off. Guess what? Human beings do stuff.
At least it wasn't an intern under his desk.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Remember they used to say, I don't care what he does in his own time. At least Donald Trump, let's assume it's true. Donald Trump wasn't actually lying to Stormy Daniels, saying he was in love with her when she was an intern and he's decades older. It would have been a transaction that, by the way, she would have been very accustomed to. I don't care. I don't care anymore.
You always want to do work things when I'm not at work.
Yes.
Like have sex.
Yes. I don't want to talk about work right now. I've been working all day.
I've been working all day, all day. All night last night. And
it's my only skill. So this is what we are living with right now. It's a show trial about a sexual affair that Daniels said never happened. She's already lost in court twice to Donald Trump. She said she would defy the court, not pay the fines to Donald Trump, and yesterday she admitted to extorting Donald Trump. But the media will spend hours on this case pretending the woman has any credibility until it gets to the point of being undeniable because the new cancel culture is character assassination without proof. You will obey. You will be made to play by their rules. Otherwise, you will be removed from society. Don't play their game. Don't fall for it. And let's move on to international news because we have some guests here. Yesterday, the U.S., I want to make sure I get this right, the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee, they hosted a hearing regarding the state of democracy, rule of law in Brazil, you know, that whole thing. And a couple of friends of the show, but first, Paulo Figueiredo was one of the key witnesses at the hearing. And I say the word witness, but in this instance, it can be synonym for pimp. Watch.
Do you believe, sir, that the 2022 elections were in fact free and fair?
I do not.
Do you believe that the Brazilian armed forces then should have acted to support President Bolsonaro's draft decree?
Who? I'm sorry?
Do you believe that the Brazilian armed forces should have acted to overturn the 2022 election results?
I do not.
Okay, so even though you don't believe them to have been fair and free, you don't believe that the armed forces, you believe they properly acted in not acting to overturn those results.
Madam Congresswoman, are you familiar with the report of the military on the elections of Brazil?
I am, yes, but
So what do you think they should have done when they realized that Brazilian elections was?
It's simple. Do you believe that the armed forces acted appropriately?
I do not.
What, you thought you were going to catch this guy? Do you have any idea what's been happening in Brazil? The judge, Marias, we've been talking about, has been trying to treat people on social media like they're actual criminals. In Brazil, they are actively trying. They are actively trying to criminalize not just hate speech, and that's wrong. That's evil. Critical speech of the government. So I'm very glad to have this man on as a friend to the show, as well as his colleague, live from the Rumble studios, I believe, in Florida.
No, in D.C.
Oh, in D.C., that's
yeah.
right. They're all over. Mr. Paulo Figueiredo and Mr. Eduardo Bolsonaro, everybody. And for those of you who don't know, Mr. Figueiredo is an award-winning journalist. He's been censored by the Brazilian Supreme Court. And Eduardo Bolsonaro is, yes, son of the former president, President Bolsonaro of Brazil. And he's also a congressman over there. Gentlemen, can you hear us here?
Yes, Steve.
Very well.
Good. Well,
loud and clear.
I'm glad to have both of you here. I appreciate it. Mr. Bolsonaro, first, we've heard or saw that your father's in the hospital. I hope everything is okay. And I don't know if there are any updates, but we're all wishing you well here at the studio.
He's getting better. Thank you for the question, Steve. He's getting better. He had a problem in the skin, and he also had a problem in the, how to say that? The intestine?
Intestines, yes.
Intestine. Because in 2018, during his campaign, he was stabbed by a former member of the Socialism and Liberty Party, which in Brazil is extremely left, pretty much the same kind of people that talks with Bernie Sanders here in the US. They have a good connection, people from this Socialist and the Liberty Party and Bernie Sanders. And this guy, after he stabbed my father received a knife around 15 centimeters inside of his belly, and the guy twisted. So he almost died because of that. But the doctor says that time after time, he can have problems and maybe sometimes even be needed a surgery. Thanks God, in this case, it will not be necessary there because the response for the medicine that he's taking is doing a very good recovery.
Okay.
But that's it.
Well,
that's it. Thank you.
I'm glad to hear that he's recovering. I want to ask you guys about, first, let me set this up for people who may not know, stateside. And the reason this is so important is because this very much mirrors what could happen in the United States. To put a finer point on it, and I want to get some clips here, which I thought were very entertaining from yesterday. We're looking right now in Brazil, right? There's this Judge Marias. Am I mistaken, or is he basically trying to prosecute and criminalize not just hate speech, but critical speech of the government, and more importantly, even from journalists and public figures on social media? He wants you, and he wants that to be considered criminal. Do I have that right?
You do. I think the proper word is not prosecute, because he hasn't prosecuted anyone. That's one of his tricks, but persecute, because he doesn't actually open cases. He has an ongoing investigation since 2019. They never actually pressed charges against individuals. This is the same investigation that now Elon Musk is part of it. Michael Schellenberger, journalist, U.S. journalist, is part of it as well. And I'm in it as well. So in this investigation, he never presses charges, but he makes decisions. So is within this investigation that he has been, he tried to arrest journalists now in exile in the U.S., Alan dos Santos, and he had censored me, canceled my passport, froze all my assets. He has been doing, he makes a lot of decisions, but he never pressed charges. So I wish he prosecutes people, but he doesn't.
Right.
Because if he prosecutes, you have the right to defend yourself, and we don't.
It's kind of ironic, I guess, to see members of the court in Brazil trying to prosecute through the court of public opinion because they don't actually have confidence in their legal standing. But what's really disappointing to me is the behavior of some of our representatives here, right? Regardless of what happened on the 8th and what Marias is saying, you would think that the persecution of journalists or criminalizing of speech would be something that all Americans could condemn. But instead, we saw some trickery, some wordplay. I want to play this clip for you. This Congresswoman, Sydney Kamliger-Dove, I hope I have that right, I don't care, tried to press you for some reason to disavow Brazil's dictatorship of the 1980s. Let's show this clip for people who didn't see it.
Do you disavow the military dictatorship that ruled Brazil from 1979 to 1985?
This has nothing to do with what we're discussing.
Okay, yes or no, please.
This has nothing to do with what we're
yes
discussing.
or no. Reclaim. I can ask. This is my hearing. Yes or no.
With all due respect, I would hope that there would be respect shown to the witness, too.
Moving on.
With all due respect for the witness and vice versa.
Mr. Chair, vice versa.
So, first question is, what do you believe her goal was here? And second question, how long before you were certain that it wasn't, in fact, a mop?
Well, first of all, I do not have any... Well, first of all, I do not have any respect for her. So just to make it clear for the record.
Perfect. Okay.
And I don't care if she respects me as well. She can control my answer. This is exactly what Moraes has been trying to do. And if he didn't, it's not going to be a congresswoman from, I think she's probably from California, right?
Yes.
Yeah, obviously.
Oh.
Yes, what a surprise.
She looks like a California raisin.
Yes, she does.
I mean, because of the hair and the flopping around, the guitars. Right. Everyone.
I asked the same, who cut your hair?
Who gave you your haircut? Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question? Who gave this lady a haircut? He should be prosecuted. He should be criminally charged.
Wait, hold on a second. So yeah, I just thought it was a great clip. I have some more, but we're receiving this now. This is breaking, or at least it's happening today. Hopefully you guys are aware of this. My producers they've just let me know, Gerald signaled me, that Eduardo Bolsonaro is now under investigation for sharing a media article. Do I have that right?
Yes, I shared we are having a very serious problem in Brazil. In the south of Brazil, we are facing, I think, the biggest floods ever in the history of at least the south of Brazil.
In south of Brazil.
And I was sharing from a mainstream media in Brazil. It's like you sharing a news from the CNN. Imagine that.
New York Times, which is a bad thing. I agree. I think you should stop sharing articles.
Okay.
Yes.
But I was criticizing because it took too long to the federal administration to send some help to the people in the south of Brazil. It took 4 days, actually. And then, instead of they start to improve, be more effective in the response of the floods, they are charging me. Now I'm under investigation to spread fake news. But wait a minute. If they really want to investigate something about the information, they should go after the mainstream media.
Right.
We too do not be perfect as well. The perfect thing is if they start to improve the effective response for the flood, but no, they're stopping everything to come after us. So you are right, Steve, when you're talking about, it's not all about rates. It started as, let's try to fight against hate speech and fake news and all of that. But now it's everybody who is criticizing Lula da Silva administration. You are under investigation. And we were talking here about Michael Schellenberg, about Elon Musk. Steve, I'm very serious with you. Tomorrow, depending, and according what you're going to speak here today in your show, you can be tomorrow under investigation in Brazil.
Yeah.
This is serious.
Good. Yeah.
I know that you don't care.
No, Brazil can get in line. I do care. And this is why I always say, we're able to survive this because of Mug Club, because we're actually supported by viewers, right? By people who join Mug Club. I'm scared for other people who aren't. There are people working in an office job where this happens and they don't have the ability to defend themselves. Yeah, it's terrifying. I want to be really clear because the media will try and say that we blew this out of proportion or misrepresented it. You shared a media article from what would be considered in Brazil a relatively mainstream outlet regarding a slow response to floods, and you are being investigated. I have that right?
Yes, and the thing is, the media should be very concerning about all of that, because if they are going after me, if they want tomorrow, for example, imagine that they don't have money anymore to send to the media, because in Brazil, the Lula administration, they send billions and billions of dollars to the media. Of
course.
Imagine if tomorrow they don't have this money anymore. They can go after the media and force the media to talk good things about the government.
Right. Yeah.
Because, and control the narrative, because they're trying to kill the social media. Thanks God, we still have internet. That's why you're seeing the amount of people that go to the streets in the rallies of my father, Jair Bolsonaro. If you do not have a media, the rallies of my father, for example, in São Paulo 1 month ago, where we had 1 million people on the streets in favor of my father, you would never see that. And this is exactly what they want to do. So you, America, do not think this is an issue about the Brazil, because all of these Brazilian authorities, they are going all over the world. They were last week in London, before they were in New York, and then in Paris. They are spreading this Brazilian virus that is different for all the virus, the censorship virus that we have all around the world, because in Brazil, it is coming through the hands of the judiciary. Yeah. And then I ask you, if Joe Biden gets reelected and appoint 1 or 2 more justices of the Supreme Court, and they start to do exactly the same thing that are happening now in Brazil, you, America, what are you going to do? Right. So you have to spread the truth all around the world to avoid this virus to come here to U.S.
It actually came from the U.S. Actually, they did come from the U.S. We have been learning that the whole theoretical framework that was used by the Brazilian courts, by Moraes court, everything came from the United States. So they had meetings with the FBI agents. They had meeting with several Department of Justice agents on learning their tactics to quote unquote combat disinformation, and that's where the ideological framework came from. If you look and see who worked closely with Moraes on his office, was pretty much the usual suspects. People funded by George Soros, Open Society, Ford Foundation, Oak Foundation. And this is not a conspiracy theory. This is public information. So the virus came from the U.S., from deep state, and from American NGOs that are trying to shape the public debate around the world. Yeah. And of course, you had, at the end of it, you had all the top officials of the Biden administration going to Brazil to threaten Brazilian public officials, military leaders, and bureaucrats to not challenge Moraes with threats, with open threats. So I think the virus came from the United States. It went to Brazil. It mutated, and it's gonna come back to this variation of the virus. Is gonna come back to bite you in like a second wave. Yeah, it's gonna come back to bite you in America.
Yeah, no, I agree. You know, and it really is. I will say this: I'm still patriotic, but my patriotism has changed in the sense that, you know, I grew up. We had a country that was flawed, but largely, hopefully, we were hoping was exporting the ideals of the Constitution, freedom, and that's not what the United States is exporting right now. They are exporting, unfortunately, corruption and authoritarianism and wokeness. And so my patriotism it lies with what America was, the ideas of America, and unfortunately not what America, the United States of America, is right now. It doesn't mean that I'm not proud to be American. It doesn't mean that I believe anything other than the United States of America is the greatest country in the history of the world. That is true. But this is a dark spot, and I don't like that we, for the very first time, in my opinion, are patient zero in a lot of ways. And that's different. And to highlight that, before we go to Mug Club, I'd like to keep you guys on here. I wanted to specifically play this clip because I believe Eduardo tweeted about this exchange. And it was between this congresswoman and Professor da Silva. How do I pronounce that name? How do I pronounce it?
You did it very well.
Da Silva. Okay. Here is the clip.
I think respecting, protecting, strengthening democracy is incredibly important. And I do also agree that we have a real problem with the proliferation of misinformation and disinformation.
Thanks, Congresswoman. I think, is it a yes or no question?
It is not a yes or no question.
Okay, order, please.
So,
can you repeat the question, Congresswoman?
I just love the smirk, and you confirmed today. Yeah. Do you know what was said off camera? Because you captioned this with leftists are the same all over the world. Do you know what was said that people reacted to?
Yeah, because she
was asking me as you played previously. She was just saying, well, everything is a yes or no question when she was questioning me. So I couldn't give her an answer with more than a sentence. That's why we had this interchange. And then she passed to the witness that she was favoring, which was the guy obviously defending censorship. And then he had all the time in the world. She said, well, take your time. It was so funny. The audience.
Everybody's a yes or no question for the guy.
I thought I heard someone say something off camera when there was the look. Like, I don't know if there was something specific that was said that we
No, it's because I look at him and say yes or no.
Yes or no.
Yes or no.
Okay,
I look at him and say yes or no. Like he had to play by the same rules.
Right. No, that's fantastic.
Do you know something interesting is that these left-wing politicians, they are briefed by the left-wing assistants of the politicians in Brazil. So the thing is, they can ask a question. If you return for them with a question, they do not know because they do not know the stories, they do not know the context. So it's a very funny thing because they try to show to the people that they know what they're talking about, but they don't have idea what they are talking about.
Right.
Because if you take, for example, Michael Schellenberg is not a Bolsonarist, a right-wing, or a conservative. He interviewed Lula in the past. He considered himself, I don't know if nowadays he's still considering himself a left-wing journalist, but still, like the censorship is going after him. He's under investigation in Brazil. It doesn't matter if he's a right-wing or left-wing.
Right.
It's because he's saying things that the system, the establishment do not agree.
Right.
And this is the scenario.
It's terrifying, and I know you guys have a hard out, so I'll let you guys go before we go to Mugla. But I wanted to ask you: you've continually referred to, for people who don't know, you said tomorrow. If what happened, if what transpires tomorrow, tell people what is going on tomorrow that is of consequence with all this.
You mean tomorrow after the hearing?
Yes.
Or in the U.S. Well, I think the next steps for the hearing, I made clear asks for the U.S. Congress. I think they have immense power. The U.S. has been, so far in the past few years, a force for evil and censorship in Brazil. And I think the U.S. needs to become, again, a force for freedom and democracy. And so the first thing they can do is do what you're doing here now, Stephen. You're creating awareness. The problem is that most of the media, the mainstream media, they don't even cover it. Right. They try to pretend it never happened. So having hearings, and having the congressman going to Brazil and having what the Judiciary Committee has done, releasing Brazilian courts, public documents so the public can know what's going on in Brazil is one key. The second key is the U.S. Congress controls the funds, and it funds Brazil tremendously with taxpayers' money. It also funds organizations like the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights that should be working on this to avoid these human rights violations. So the American taxpayer is funding the censorship of Brazil, and this shouldn't happen. The third is they need to exercise the oversight power on the Biden administration. Why is the Biden administration supporting Moraes and Lula, a regime that's pro-Hamas, pro-Venezuela, pro-Cuba, definitely pro-China, pro-Iran? Why does the Biden administration, is almost like they hate America and they want someone that hate America ruling the most important country in South America?
Right.
But the next step would be Congress can produce a legislation like they have many in place that really creates sanctions against Eduardo, of course, doesn't like this, but I'm a journalist. I'm not a congressman, I can say. That creates sanctions against the Brazilian government and Brazilian public officials who violate human rights. It's not a political thing. If you're violating journalists' rights, if you're violating parliamentarians' rights, congressmen' rights, parliamentary immunity, if you're throwing people in jail without due process, you need to suffer consequences. And that alone will create enormous pressures, and I think our institutions will be able to act and restore our freedoms. Brazil is a peaceful country, although we're very good in jiu-jitsu, as you know.
Yes, I know. Although I know that it pains you to no end that the greatest no-gi grappler of all time is a very cocky American. And it's not even close. It's not even close, and you know it.
Well, I'll dispute that.
In the gi...
You've been finding excuses to not go on the mat with me. Oh, my back hurts. And I've heard all that before.
I voiced my titanium rib cage. I will say this.
Yeah, okay. I have 3 herniated discs, so let's roll.
I will say, Hodger Gracie and the Gee, he's a Michael Jordan. Nogi, Gordon, Ryan, come on, we gotta do that. I mean, Americans take what Brazil created and they made it better.
Let's
it's okay.
agree to disagree.
No, I'm correct. But Gerald had one final question here because I know you guys are on a timeline. I appreciate you taking it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I noticed that you guys are in the Rumble studio up there in D.C. We talked about that a second ago. I know Chris was also in front of Congress testifying on censorship. I know X has been removed and Rumble is now removed out of Brazil. YouTube's still available though, right?
X not removed yet.
Not removed yet, but in the process of potentially. Yeah.
Well, what happened was that Elon Musk promised he was going to lift the sanctions, the restrictions in Brazil, but so far he hasn't made good of his promise. He didn't lift any sanctions. Brazil, I'm still heavily sanctioned in Brazil. He actually increased the sanctions by the order of the court after what he said. So we're still waiting on Elon Musk to actually do something. The moment he does, he will be disconnected from Brazil.
Yeah.
And then I'll give you back in a question if I can, is that imagine if Trump is the president and if he looks like this for, Brazilian authorities are banning some US companies there. Let's go to do the same here in US and you start a trade war between US and Brazil. I think this is something that the Brazilian authorities, they are concerned. They fear that Trump can get elected and change all the behavior, change all the, how can I say that, the inertia of the Biden administration, and they start to act in favor of the American companies outside of America. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, and I think Gerald, the final part of the question was YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, right? They're fine.
They're all compliant.
They're all compliant.
Of course they are. Of course.
Well, if you and I said that on my testimony. If you look what's going on in Brazil and in the U.S., please read the Judiciary Committee on the House report on the censorship industrial complex. The email exchange between the Biden administration officials and the guys from YouTube, Meta, and all those social media companies, they were they were aligned.
Yes,
they were aiming to please. In Brazil, the theoretical framework is the same. The difference is that Moraes didn't have to informally come to an agreement with social media company. He just ordered them, do whatever I'm saying, otherwise I'll heavily fine you or disconnect you from the country. But the ideas and the requests are actually the same because, like I said, it came from the U.S. It came from the Atlantic Council. It came from the FBI deep state. It came from Department of Justice agents. It came from the American left.
Right. Yeah. The people of Brazil deserve a lot better, and not only from their own government, but you know what? You're right. They deserve a lot better from the shining city on a hill that is the United States of America, and we have not done right by you. So I can only apologize on behalf of myself for not being able to do more about it. But if people want to do more about it, where can they support you, follow you guys? Because that's an active step.
Well, I'm on X. My X publications are usually in English since they can be seen from Brazil.
Right.
You can look me up at Rio P Figueiredo. It's Figueiredo, and Eduardo Bolsonaro is also
Bolsonaro. Usually Bolsonaro SP. Bolsonaro SP is almost all of my social media.
Okay. Well, very good. I appreciate you guys taking the time. Please do keep us updated. And thank you, guys. I know you have stuff to get to there in Washington, D.C. Be well.
Thanks for having us.
Bolsonaro Figueiredo, everybody. And I'm horrible with names like Paulo Figueiredo and Eduardo Bolsonaro, so I just say Bolsonaro and Figueiredo. It sounds like the odd couple.
Yes.
It's like,
the odd Brazilian couple.
He's Bolsonaro. He's Figueiredo. That kind of thing.
No, I love what those guys are doing, and I know I didn't really have a question. I was basically making a point.
Yes.
Like with Meta, Facebook, all this stuff. Like these companies, Google, YouTube, they don't have our best interests at heart. Like they could basically, if you were those companies right now, you could get together and be like, look, we don't like each other. We're competitors in this space. But what they're doing here is absolutely wrong and will lead to the deaths of probably millions of people if the dictatorship is set up as effective as they want it to be. Let's all tell them to go to hell when they tell us to ban this kind of content. They can't get rid of all of us. Right. And if they do, then that is a much bigger international story and more pressure can be brought. But no, what they do is they say, yes, sir, we'll toe the line for you. You have to get rid of those guys. Those guys over there, they're the problem.
Well, let's talk about this more on Mug Club because Rumble, and the CEO, Chris Pavlovsky, just talked about this. They've also now been banned from Russia.
Yeah.
Which is surprising considering how the French government banned them for not banning Russian media from Rumble. Hey, it's like consistency.
Pointing like,
do you hear that? Isn't that a wonderful thing? You don't have to agree with what people say, so long as you agree with the terms that people can say it. So if you click that button right there, you can enter in the promo code military, $10 off, 10% to military charities because it is Military Appreciation Month. We are going to continue right now on Mug Club. And for those of you who are not there, hey, you can continue watching for free every day, unless you're on YouTube, in which case piss off.